Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment here of the Territory Save here on the channel. It's in TEW 2020. Basically, as far as running 8 promotions throughout the Territory years, all the way through into modern day. So this will be definitely a series for the long haul. As this being in March here, as far as we have now we're officially 2 full months in, and boy, has things. I mean, it's just changing so much. I feel like so many things are happening. First of all, this will be as far as this will be the first month where we have a different promotion than the first 8 that we went through. As we'll talk about that here quite shortly, but I wanted to bring that up real quick. As far as a lot of big time title matches have been taking place throughout the month of February. And going into March, though, there's going to be some big time moments for sure happening in this save. As we'll bring up the newsletter. So, as far as the big news story being that Ray Stevens has beaten Pat Patterson for his 9th U.S. heavyweight title, which of course that's the San Francisco-based one, of course, from the with the big time wrestling in San Francisco title, which is it was in front of a sold out crowd at the LA Forum, which was 20,000 people, I believe. As we'll get the full number here in a bit, but Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson has been a very, very fun feud, and has been a lot of fun as far as looking at just as kind of the big things that we have seen throughout this save. That's definitely been one of the big stories that has basically been going on for 2 months now, and it's still going on. And as far as going into March, that's going to be a lot of fun to really talk about. Bruno Sammartino beat Killer Kowalski in his title matchup at the big end of the show, as far as end of the month, rather, show at in February, which that was, I believe that's the best match that has happened in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation at this point, which was a lot of fun. Obviously, Killer Kowalski and Bruno, feel like those two stylistically make a lot of sense, and it's better than the Ivan Koloff matchup. And Bruno keeps his reign going, man. I mean, it's over 2,200 days. Pretty crazy, but he is still the heavyweight champion. And over in Western States sports, boy, have we had a lot of fun with that, though. That's been a lot of fun. We brought in Danny Hodge for a little bit, because I just felt like Danny Hodge, being in Western State sports, obviously having the junior heavyweight champion and the heavyweight champion in the same area at the same time is pretty special. But I wanted to have him be kind of the scary shooter that he is, and a guy that is, does obviously his size being a junior heavyweight, maybe compared to somebody like a Dick Murdoch or a Dusty Rhodes, might not be too scared, but we're still able to let him have legitimate moments. And it first started off, being that the kind of story with him was, had a television interview, talking about how, as far as sure he's Oklahoma, amateur wrestler, and as far as, is born and bred, loves Oklahoma to death, and having to be here in Texas, he's here to, beat some of the top Texas talent, and yeah, of course that rubs the crowd the wrong way. That rubs the guys on the roster the wrong way. But with kind of the main story that's happening in Western State sports has been the Texas Outlaws, Dick Murdoch, Dusty Rhodes against Dory Funk Sr., Terry Funk, Ricky Romero, and also Dory Funk Jr. whenever he's not touring around the country. And to have Danny Hodge come in initially as just an outsider who came to make the save. It was like a 2-on-1 with Dusty and Dick Murdoch with a cowbell, just running roughshod, taking out Dory Funk Sr. and Danny Hodge makes the save. So it was able to not only, first of all, put over how legitimate, scary of a guy Danny Hodge is, with that he was going in there 2-on-1 with a guy, two crazy 270, 280 pound Texan heavyweight guys that are mean, nasty individuals. And he was able to dodge a cowbell attack, double leg takedown, and then do another double leg takedown, because obviously we wanted to have some type of amateur as far as explosiveness from Danny Hodge, and I feel like that'd be a great way of doing it. But and now to kind of build up to Terry Funk and Danny Hodge as a kind of exhibition of Oklahoma versus Texas, because also, as you see there in the other article here, as far as that we're talking about, or I guess you could say the cover story, if you will, as Japanese Wrestling Association will host a special exhibition matchup, as they get the junior heavyweight, they have a NWA heavyweight title matchup scheduled and sanctioned, as you see there, also at the top of the newsletter, as far as exclusive Japan to host NWA heavyweight title matchup as between Giant Baba and Dory Funk Jr., of course, the champion. So that matchup, winner of that matchup, will take on Danny Hodge in a special champion versus champion exhibition matchup that will be taking place at the end of March. Probably, as far as that's or penciled it in as. Things may change, but that is the plan. As far as that's going to be a lot of fun to really see how that plays out. But yeah, I mean, as far as from kind of those major four promotions is kind of talking about with, Big Time Wrestling in San Francisco, Western State Sports, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. The AWA's been a lot of fun too. Been loving booking them. And also, as far as we'll go into now, the JWA has been interesting because obviously now they don't have any TV or anything, but they get, as far as with the March rankings here of the newsletter, Giant Baba is scheduled to, of course, have that title match with Dory Funk Jr. That's taking place in Japan. They're still, him and Antonio Inoki still the top tag team as well in the world. So a lot of big name talent, of course. Antonio Inoki and Giant Baba being 1A and 1B of that equation. But honestly, Kentaro Okiya has been tremendous as well. He's the All Asia Heavyweight Champion right now. He's been great. But yeah, I mean, as far as from that perspective, and as far as Dory Funk Jr., he's still been obviously touring around the world. As far as the Wahoo McDaniel matchup was a lot of fun to do. It actually went really well. I believe that is still the best Western States matchup that's taken place. I believe. We'll have to double check that. But Bruno Sammartino, as he will not be taking on George Steele next, as far as that's not the next program. It's actually going to be Ernie Ladd. And Ernie Ladd, in typical heel fashion, as he lost to Bobo Brazil. They lost in their big kind of culmination of their feud. Him and Bobo, which Bobo won. Ernie Ladd, then as far as after that loss, after, the first television taping after the big end of the month show, Bruno, as far as interview, talking about the match with Kowalski now, grueling contest, all that fun jazz. Ernie Ladd attacks him from behind, lays him out, and that's going to jumpstart that. So he's jumping the line, and kind of a typical heel fashion, because even though George Steele is the number one kind of contender as far as from the rankings here at the newsletter, doesn't necessarily have to mean that that's the, official rankings, you know what I mean? This is still, it's a newsletter thing. It's not like Vince McMahon, it's not Vince Sr.'s rankings, so kind of like that idea of it as well. But the AWA, as far as Vern Gagne, he just beat Mad Dog Vachon, which that was the best match in AWA, one of the best matches we've seen in the Save, to be honest, as far as, at least out of the 8 promotions we've been booking. That was a really, really good matchup. And now he's going to take on Baron Von Raschke, which, of course, Baron and Mad Dog, they are they're not even the AWA World Tag Team Champions, they're the fucking Midwest Tag Team Champions, as Larry Hennig and Lars Anderson are still the AWA World Tag Team Champions. They've been really, really good, though, as far as Baron and Mad Dog Vachon. As far as the Dick, the Bruiser, and the Crusher, they will be taking on the AWA World Tag Team Champions, Lars Anderson and Larry Hennig. Larry the Axe got hurt kind of halfway through February, and was not able to defend his title, so we had to push that back a little bit, but I believe that's going to be on the first TV taping of March, so that's going to be a lot of fun to see. Also, Luke Graham, he beat Bobo Brazil to retain his British Empire heavyweight title as far as a part of the AWA. So that is why he's ranked higher than Bobo Brazil. Bobo's, man, I mean, he's just been all over the place. Out of our 8 promotions we book, 3 of them involved Bobo Brazil in a major way. Of course, he's big time wrestling now. He's a heavyweight champion there. He beat the Sheik, so he's the U.S. champ not only in the WWF but also in big time wrestling in Detroit. So that's been crazy, and also he's been booked pretty prominently in the AWA. But I'm trying to ease him out of that just because I feel like he's been working all over the place, which I'm sure he's fine with, but in the same breath, it's like, man, you can't be working like in an NWA promotion and in the WWF and in the AWA. Like, it's just a lot of things going on. The junior wrestling rankings haven't really changed really at all, mainly because there's just not a lot of junior heavyweight like places that we book. We're trying to at least change that a little bit, but it's been hard because really it's been the WWF, which Mil Mascaris is, of course, the junior heavyweight champion now, which has been a lot of fun. That definitely has bolstered that division in a big, big way. And that's been fun to really have him go in there, even though he's not really over yet. He's still been, like, pulling out 60s. He's not even, like, I don't even think he's considered recognizable still, which is kind of crazy. But he's been doing well. Ray Stevens, as far as a junior champ, mainly trying to eye a junior heavyweight title match between him and Danny Hodge. I think that'd be a great match. Rayo de Jalisco, that might happen in Japan. Who knows? Obviously, that would probably be like an EMLL matchup mainly, but we don't book them. Tony Marino's probably the number one contender, at least from the WWF side of things, with him and Mil Mascaris. Rick Curry's a great little junior talent. Bob Sweetan. Paul Jones, of course, he had his junior heavyweight title matchup with Danny Hodge back in January, so he's still ranked highly, but yeah, Paul Jones is not really that great as far as compared to what I was hoping for. And on the women's side of things, Irma Gonzalez, of course, the first AWA women's champ right now that we have booked, she's been great. We kind of put a lot of pressure on her as of late in the AWA. She had, after winning the AWA women's title against Vivian Vachon, she had 2 title defenses that same month. So she's been getting after it as of late, which was against Judah Grable, and then I believe I'm blanking. Lorraine Johnson, I believe, was the other woman. But yeah, as far as the tag team division goes, Sweet Hansen and Rip Hawk has still been doing a great program with George Becker and Johnny Weaver for Jim Crockett. As far as from that perspective, the Ray Stevens Peter Maivia team, actually that tag team is going to be put on hold because Peter Maivia got hurt. He is out for 2 months, so he'll be out, and also they've had to vacate their belts, which we're going to see at the first TV taping of Big Time Wrestling for in San Francisco. We're going to see Pat Patterson and Stan Stasiak take on the team of Earl Maynard, and Rocky Johnson to determine the the new champions, because they won their qualifying match. It's kind of like a mini tournament we ran, but that's going to be a lot of fun to see how that matchup goes. Fabulous Kangaroos are still actually doing pretty well for themselves, even though they're definitely past their prime. As far as for the NWA scene, Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson definitely want to have a matchup with either Pat and Dory Funk Jr. or Ray Stevens and Dory Funk Jr. Or obviously, we're building up to also potential Ray Stevens, Danny Hodge match. Kind of the idea of Ray Stevens being able to, if he wants the match with Danny Hodge, if he wants the match with Dory Funk Jr., it's kind of his decision. The Billy Robinson match is probably going to be put on hold between Dory Funk Jr. because Billy Robinson got hurt, which is, I mean, a lot of people are getting hurt as of late. He herniated his, I believe it was the 4th or 5th vertebrae, so he's going to be hurting for a couple of months with that. Johnny Valentine, though, would love to get I put the Sheik in the top 10, though. That was, I just kind of would love to see that match, just from a sake of having somebody like Dory Funk Jr. come to, Cobo Hall and have to face the Sheik. I think that'd be a fun match. That's kind of like a great I mean, sure, we could have the Sheik come to Western State Sports, which I would also be kind of crazy, to be honest, but I don't know how. Because I would kind of love. The idea is kind of planting the seeds to have Skandor Akbar and the Sheik like team up down there. That's kind of a fun idea, but I don't think we can because we are running, with the Sheik as far as the Big Time Wrestling, so we can't really do that. But we might like pigeon away from Big Time Wrestling for a little bit just so we can do that angle because I think it'd be a really fun program to run. But there's Western State Sports is kind of like we have their formula kind of down pat of what we like doing with them. The booking idea and the booking philosophy is kind of having these rough and rugged heels trying to overthrow the pure heart baby faces of like the Funks, Ricky Romero, those guys, and we also kind of could use some more baby faces maybe potentially. And now Danny Hodges is thrown in as a baby face, which is kind of interesting as well. Him being kind of the Oklahoma outsider that is putting his differences aside of state versus state rivalry to to overcome that animosity with a traditional good versus evil instead. So that's been an interesting wrinkle as well. But as far as like some of the other booking philosophies that we've done, really with the WWF, right now the big plan right now has been, as far as I want to also look at to see that that end of the month show in February, that was the best show. I believe that was also the best match. Yeah, Bruno and him. But that tag matchup with Killer Kowalski, Waldo Von Erich, and Danucci and Bruno was also really good. Yeah, the Ivan Koloff matchup. Obviously, it's just a lot of Bruno Sammartino, but the Waldo Von Erich Dominic Danucci matchup also did pretty well. Also, that's been fun. Really, the big program, obviously with the heavyweight title, is in the future now. It's going to be Bruno and Ernie Ladd. Junior heavyweight, it's basically Mil Mascaras and either Marino, but Marino's still one of the tag champs. So maybe not Marino, but it's either going to be Marino or a heel that kind of an outsider heel perspective potentially. Who knows? There's a lot of different ways we can go about it with Mil Mascaras. U.S. title's interesting because with Bobo, he's pretty solid as a champ, but he has been a champ for over a year now. Maybe time to drop the belt to somebody else. The Ernie Ladd match was fun. It was a no DQ matchup. It was in the studio for that one. We'll probably do in March, end of the month show, Bobo versus whoever it may be, and he'll probably drop the belt to him. Because I feel like that's kind of the best case scenario. We have our first women's tag team champs as well, Tony Rose and Donna Cristanello. They are their first ever women's tag team champs. Also, right now, kind of the big story with the women has been Moolah was attacked. This, as far as tag matchup for the women's title, Pollock actually is all a ruse. She turned on Moolah and joined Rose and Cristanello. Kind of the youth of the women's side, tired of Moolah's shit. But Moolah made a call to Mae Young to bring her in. So it's been a kind of the old guard versus the new guard type of story. It's been pretty fun to do so far. Actually, Mae Young, even though she's 49, I want to say 46, incredible talent, which is kind of, no surprise, Mae Young rules, but I was not expecting her to have as good of a rating as she did. She had a 60. She was like the second best woman in the match. It's kind of wild, but that's Mae Young for you, tough as nails. But so maybe and also back in the company, just feels like that's right, makes sense. From that perspective, that's pretty much what's going on in the WWF. For the AWA, really Vern still champ, Luke Graham still British Empire heavyweight champ, which he's only been champ for basically since January, anyways. Moose Cholak, as far as he's still been the heavyweight champ. Really, with him, I don't think we're gonna get the belt off him anytime soon. And just as far as it feels like he doesn't really need to drop the belt anytime soon. His matches haven't been great. They've yeah, I mean, the peak was definitely him and Dr. X, but even in that match, obviously, the Destroyer, he just, he got signed by Florida, so that was kind of, our hands were tied, basically, with that one. Him and Leroy Hirsch, I thought that'd be a decent matchup, but actually it wasn't as good as I thought. Yeah, Mad Dog and Baron have been a great Midwest tag team champs. Women's champ, of course, with Irma Gonzalez. She's been great. Her match has actually been pretty solid. The Lorraine Johnson match was a 58. That's actually really good. Of course, Vern, him and Mad Dog, yeah, it was 2 out of 3 falls match, but 77's best match that he's had so far, mainly because of Mad Dog for Sean. Vern is, I mean, listen, champ for over 500 days. I think it's definitely time to get the belt off of him. Really, with him, he's up there in age. Really, with the big thing with Vern. Vern, I think, is 44. Yeah, and like the ratings are just not there. You see there with Mad Dog. Mad Dog almost had 20 more points than him, which makes sense. I mean, Mad Dog Rashawn, tremendous hand and guy that is like in the prime of his career. Also, Baron, did better than him as well. Which that was a DQ finish as far as him and Baron. And a lot of these have been just kind of DQ finishes for the most part. And yeah, I mean, this is it's a big time moment for the AWA to have a potential new champ on the horizon. Be the first time since the mid '60s. I think they're really ready for it. They want it. There's a lot of top talent that we have right now. There's also been, as far as we also forgot that we got to change Bob Windham. We did the kind of story with him. Obviously, later it becomes Blackjack Mulligan, but we're gonna jumpstart that. We had Blackjack Lanza as far as him and Bobby Heenan. They attacked Red Bastien because Red Bastien basically we wanted to do something with him because with him and Billy Red, of course, went after the Flying Redheads, also got signed by Championship Wrestling from Florida. So Red Bastien kind of doesn't have anything going. Wanted him to have a television interview, talk about him now being solo and being the only Flying Redhead, and talking about just how it's going to be tough not having somebody in your corner and whatnot, and just Blackjack attacks from behind, while Bobby Heenan is basically saying like these are the type of guys that Blackjack Lanza can't stand. These weak-minded individuals who have nothing but hanging on to somebody's coattails. This is not the type of guy that we need around the AWA, and this is not the type of guy that Mr. Lanza wants in the AWA. So for really with Blackjack, that kind of kicked off to we'll have a tag team matchup with as far as having Vern and Red Bastien as Blackjack and Bill Watts, which is a fun little idea. You slowly build to the matchup with Red Bastien. It's kind of crazy. He had a match with Dory Funk Jr. at the end of the month show in St. Louis. So I'll have to, that's pretty wild. But yeah, with Blackjack won via interference from a former Bob Windham, but now will be, of course, Blackjack Mulligan, which, can we just reset it? Okay, we'll have to, oh no, we'll have to change it. We'll just go, we'll do it after I record. Because we got a lot of stuff to talk about anyways. So, AAWA, that's pretty much it, because the World Tag Team title, seeing Lars Anderson and Larry Hennig, they're going to be obviously taking on Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher, which they're going to look to become tag team champions in the AWA for the 5th time in their career, which would tie, at least as far as Ivan and Karl Karmakov, I believe that's the most in AWA history. Yep, that's kind of crazy. The first champs are in 1953. Long time. As yeah, this is AWA's been a lot of fun. Maybe we're making money. We got almost $3 million. We are probably, if I had to guess, which company's gonna kind of be the first to rise to medium, it'd probably be the AWA. We already are above 59 for the Midwest. We just got to get there with the Northwest or the Mid-South area. It's kind of great, or Great Lakes. That's kind of what's great about the AWA, at least for the sake of TEW. But I would say even in real life, they kind of were able to cover a large area of land in the U.S. because of kind of where they were, and obviously what Vern and kind of and company were able to do, having good relationships with a lot of people around, not only in the Great Lakes area and the Mid South area, obviously in the Midwest area, but also in the Northwest, and was able to really cover a lot of land because of that, and even the Southwest too. So, but yeah, AWA's been a lot of fun. Bockwinkel again. I mean, he's been. We really been. I'm trying not to just full on push him to the top early, but he's far and away one of the best talents we have. I had him after Bill Howard, and he had a 70. Like, he's been unreal. I love Nick Bockwinkel, so it's been very tough to not just shove him to the top immediately. So that's been, I've been having to restrain myself from doing that, because he's awesome. I absolutely love Bockwinkel. But that's the AWA pretty much. The JWA, of course, the big thing that's going to be taking place is the matchup with Baba and Dory Funk Jr. And the winner of that match taking on taking on Danny Hodge rather, as the Kentaro Oki, Oki, I believe that's how you pronounce it. But he's been actually tremendous. He outperformed Antonio Inoki. Or no, actually outperformed Baba. That's what it was. Yeah, he outperformed Baba in their NWA heavyweight title matchup, which I didn't expect at all. Yeah, because I mean, him and Baba did the same in the tag team matchup. Really, with Baba, I'm not really sure what's going on with him. I don't know if it's fatigue. I don't know what it is, because he's kind of been working. I thought he was working big time, not big time wrestling. Yeah, the 50th state in Hawaii, but that might be what it is. But I mean, he feels like he's not been able to go full board with some of his stuff. I mean, 50th state, we've really let them get away with a lot of big time matches. Having Ray Stevens and Giant Baba, Pat Patterson, Giant Baba, been having great matches over there. Ripper Collins, the NWA heavyweight champion over the Hawaiian heavyweight champion. Yeah, because Baba here, 66, his fucking title matches that we had here, he's at 58. Pretty brutal. I don't think there was a chemistry issue either. Yeah, he's got great chemistry when he fights Fritz, but we got rid of Fritz because I mean he's an old ass man at this point. We got him for the one match, but we should probably bring him back since he has such good chemistry with Baba. Noki, he still just won after the international tag team champs with Baba. Yeah, I mean I'm wanting him. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but definitely around the time where he has the fight with Muhammad Ali, which that was 76. Definitely want him to kind of emulate what happened as far as him kind of being a big name in America off of that. Maybe not a big name in America, but a big enough name in the sense of, he's the other half of that equation, and basically that fight, you could say that fight is a bit of a focal point in the history of mixed martial arts. As far as, I mean, you have a wrestler versus a boxer on a big time stage like that, even though the fight wasn't that great. But at least that idea, the ideology behind it, is what formed this idea of mixed martial arts, and it's what formed, obviously, the UFC and all that fun jazz. But, Inoki, the big thing with, obviously, him and Baba is who should be the star. Right now, we've been having Baba be the face. He's done pretty well for himself. I think Inoki should probably get a run as the champ sooner rather than later. He did win the big league last year, so we'll see how that plays out. We have to schedule that too. I gotta remember to do that, because right now we don't have that scheduled, but we need to make sure we do, because obviously, it's a big deal. The World Big League and the World Tag League. I mean, that you're talking about, obviously, the round robin tournament aspect of Japanese pro wrestling is very much a focal point, and it's we got to make sure that we cover that with the respect it deserves, for sure. And in once the split happens, which again we don't know if we're going to do the split or not. It was a time where they had matches in Madison Square Garden. It was that whole ordeal as well. So this is definitely on the horizon to make sure to have that be a focal point. Oh, the World Tag League that started in the 1970s. That's going to be fun to start that off. But yeah, Baba, he has been champ since '68. I think it's definitely time for a potential Inoki run. So with the Pacific, as far as Coast Athletic Corporation, the big time wrestling in San Francisco, a lot of fun. Absolutely, just a blast. The show happening at the Forum, it was a sold out crowd, 18,000. A lot of fun to run that. Because obviously the Forum, being a basketball fan, being the home of the Lakers, especially at that time in 1970, it's not Showtime Lakers yet, but like what it would turn into with Kareem and Magic and that whole run. It's kind of crazy to think about that. This is kind of like the Jerry West. Oh yeah, I mean Wilt's. I want to say Wilt. That's 72. The 72, the 71 team. I don't think Wilt's there yet, off the top of my head. I should probably know that, but because I want to say it's that 71-72 seasons where they won. They have that still holds the record for the longest winning streak in NBA history, as far as like in the season it was like 28 games. It was a lot. They were pretty dominant, as you could probably imagine. Because I mean, Wilt and Jerry West, that's pretty crazy. Oh yeah, he was on that team. He was on the Lakers at that point. So yeah, that the form's booming. The form is definitely booming around that time. I'm trying to think if they won the championship during that season. Yeah, I think that was the 71-72 season, yeah. But, yeah, that's a wealth to still. The Forum, though, very, very fun place. Actually, AEW just ran there, obviously, and Real Life not too long ago. This program, with Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson, and kind of in extension, Stan the Man, Stasiak, and Peter Maivia. It's been a lot of fun. Pedro Morales, because he got hurt, he hasn't been doing so hot, so that's been tough to deal with. The Bearcat Wright Earl Aidard match didn't go over as well as I would have hoped, but yeah, I mean, just Ray Stevens, he's been incredible. That match with Pat, they were great. Both guys in the '70s, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to run that. And that was a '69. I think the first match did. Oh no, it did not. Oh my, the Oakland Arena, Alameda County Arena, which that was of course the time limit draw, the hour long draw. I figured the actual finish, having a clean finish, would have helped a lot. It was also a cage match too, so we really put a lot into it. Yeah, it was the best show. Oh, but by far, yeah. It was probably the best match to be his first match in the '70s. That has been the Ray Stevens, Pat Patterson show. That's definitely been the case here for Big Time Wrestling in San Francisco. We'll vacate these belts once we get into that match, because technically they have 30 days to defend their belt, but we know that he's injured, so we wanted to at least give him a little bit more time. Because I want to say their title matchup, was this week. It was the third week, so technically they would still have another week to be able to defend their belts before they officially have to be vacated, but we're going to kind of jumpstart it a little bit just to get some new life into the belts for that regard. So, Jim Crockett, I'll be honest, Jim Crockett hasn't been a whole lot of fun as of late because the roster has just been in such a disarray. But as far as, because we had a pretty horrendous end of the month show, as you can see, a 43 compared to what we did the first time around, which was a 57, and had a great main event. The reason why This Blonde Bombers, George Becker, and Johnny Weaver match. It's because it's been ran so many times. It's been the fourth time we ran it in 2 months. So, which I don't feel like has been a lot. I feel like it's been like twice a month, but I guess it's been 2 months. So that's why it was a 28. And that, I mean, if I we didn't know that until we got to this show. I thought there had been enough time in between. So I guess there had been this house show match that won a draw. So it was just kind of like, well, it had been, every 2 weeks there had basically been a match between the two teams. So I guess that is a lot. You kind of think about it from that perspective. But there's been, really only two finishes to that match. And there's been a DQ and there's been a time limit draw. So I felt like we were in a perfect place to do that, and where we wouldn't get in any trouble or anything. But unfortunately, that was not the case. The Eastern States Heavyweight Champion still Skull Murphy, who he already had two defenses. He beat Art Thomas, he beat Dusty Rhodes. Actually, the Dusty match has been the best thing he's done so far. It was kind of funny because that was just on TV. But yeah, I mean he's been good. Him and Brute Bernard, they've been a fun little team to kind of counterpoint what's been going on with Weaver and Becker. And it's we're going to be in a bit of trouble now that we can't really run that feud anymore with Jim Crockett, because the roster, it's old, it's pretty pissed off right now. I think the backstage area is at a 0. Yep. So we're going to have to really come through this backstage area with a fine-tooth comb, get rid of the people that we don't need, and really cut down on some of these guys, because it's just been pretty brutal. There's been fights daily. Daily. It's been pretty bad. You see all the stuff we're trying to do backstage also. Like, we have catering, we have a chiropractor, we have a masseuse. Like, we're trying everything we can. It's still at a 0. It's been pretty brutal. But we're still making a lot of money with Jim Crockett. Of course, they're at $3 million as well. As far as that kind of last show was a bit of a shot in the arm. We didn't need that. That definitely did not help us at all as far as from trying to get bigger, which we're not really trying to. That's kind of another thing too with this save. Obviously, with the territories, what kills it is somebody going global. So we don't really need that or want that, because obviously we don't want one company hoarding all the great talent. So that's kind of the plan. It is honestly trying to keep everybody at like a medium large size. So that's kind of funny to think about that from that perspective. But yeah, I mean, as far as from that perspective, Jim Crockett, they're doing okay for what we're wanting to do. They're not going down, but they definitely, I want them to at least get medium. I want all the companies that are a major company, at least, to be a medium-sized company. That's the cap, potentially. Maybe even bigger. It's tough. Really, with size-wise, if it comes down to, size criteria, that's what I was looking for. Big is maybe a little too big, though. Medium might be what we want, at least for the 70s. Once we get into the 80s, it's going to be different, though. Because a lot of it, too, with the territory system was it able to survive with the expansion of cable and with the expansion of being able to watch something from around the world from the comfort of your living room. I feel like it would be able to work out, but at the same time, kind of with everything, one company, it just grows to the point where they can have all the best talent and are the best brand, the biggest brand. But it's tough because I feel like it can be. Sure, there's like the UFC became so big that it killed Pride, and it's still there's still other companies, but obviously UFC is the flagship thing, and I kind of want to be much like brands with like soda drinks, I want to be able to have Pepsi, Coke, Mountain Dew, all these different things, but also at the same point, there's also a corporation there with its, you have different brands with that involved, and there's different ties and that involved. But I want everyone to have their different brand of wrestling, and I want them to be able to enjoy it from around the world. So that's the focal point with this series, is to be able to not only have that brand of wrestling try and get the best of it, try to really come across that style and that brand of wrestling to that audience, but also try and make sure that we can have wrestlers that can perform that style at those companies too at the same time. So that's been another kind of point that I want to do with the roster and kind of look at a lot of the different rosters and make sure that we have the right talent for the right place. A place that right now, just to kind of jump over to it, that I really love booking because of I think the talent is exactly what it's supposed to be, and that's Big Time Wrestling in Detroit. With the addition of Abdullah the Butcher, man, he's been great to be able to have be brought in because we have a wide variety of talent that can just beat the piss out of you with Abdullah the Butcher, Bull Curry, Bobo Brazil, Sheik, Gypsy Joe, Sputnik Monroe, this talent of guys, Johnny Valentine, these guys that can beat the fuck out of you. And it's awesome. It's awesome. There's also some other talent that is kind of definitely second tier talent that isn't so great, but there's also some names from yesteryear that were tough guys in their day, like Angelo Poffo and obviously the Kangaroos and those guys as far from that regard. But yeah, I mean, and also like Tito Copa, he just you just from the look of it, like a Polish 40-year-old man that's gonna beat the fuck out of him. They are gonna have a lot of, especially him and the Sheik. They had some pretty bloody affairs in their days. The Stomper, even, like as far as he was somebody that was able to brawl, not so much to the level like Sputnik and the Sheik and those guys, but it's just been fun. I just love that style of wrestling, so maybe that's why. It's just these guys are gonna beat the fuck out of each other. I don't know. Maybe I'm a sadomasochist. I don't know, but it's just sure. Even though the art of wrestling, it's not supposed to hurt each other. It's supposed to be able to work around the loop and be able to take care of your opponent and whatnot. But as a fan, to buy a ticket knowing that those guys are gonna beat the fuck out of each other is pretty great. it's pretty great. I can't lie to you. And that's another thing with Japanese press. Another reason why I definitely want to have that be a focal point in the save. Once we get into kind of the stronger style stuff, you're definitely going to see a promotion. It probably won't be for a while, but you're definitely going to have a promotion where it is going to be some bad motherfuckers in there. That's kind of what the JWA kind of has a little bit of that. They have Billy Robinson. They have Judo Gene LaBelle. They have these guys, Danny Hodge, of course, that are pretty tough individuals, and you're going to see a big influence of that. But with Big Time Wrestling, though, of course, right now, Bobo is now the new U.S. champ, and the Skull Brothers are still the tag champs, but I think Abdul the Butcher and the Sheik are going to take those belts. Because I really like that idea of that team. Two absolute savages in there with the Grand Wizard behind them. I feel like it's a match made in heaven. I don't know. We'll see, though. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, Western State Sports. With, obviously, we talked about a big focal point of what the company is. It's the Funks and the Texas Outlaws. That's been the major story. Dory Funk Jr., though, we do officially have him on a written deal. So, $15,000 a month is pretty crazy. Fortune Fox Baker, he was going to get a matchup after Killer Carl Cox, and as far as either the Beast or Dick Murdoch, it's going to be one or the other, where he was going to be the toughest man in Texas, and he was going to be a bit of the brute badass that he is. But unfortunately, he got injured in a match with Stu Gibson, and he's out for 13 days. Luckily, so it's not a whole lot, but he ruptured his patella tendon, which is pretty crazy. Oh, also, Dory Funk Jr. got hurt, but he's working through it. What a savage old man. Right now, really, it's Dick Murdoch, the plan. I want to see him and Terry are going to have a Texas death match. That's the plan. We're also going to see, as far as with the Beast, he just had his title matchup with Kill Carl Cox. It was a DQ finish. So we'll probably have a follow-up matchup for that Western States Heavyweight title. It'll be like a no DQ match. Ricky Romero and Terry Funk still the champs. That might change though. As far as the Texas Outlaws, they've been doing well, but they are not at the level of Terry Funk and Ricky Romero. We might even do Dory Funk Sr. and Ricky Romero. They've actually been a pretty decent little team. They have chemistry as well, so just kind of on the horizon there, thinking what potentially we might see. The Duke brothers are still doing well. Joe and Paul. Trying to think what else. Really with Western States sports, it's trying to get kind of the rest of the card involved. We're losing a lot of money with Western State sports. Is kind of the big thing too, which I wouldn't say that's the wrestler's fault. That's kind of more of a production fault. We probably shouldn't have a such high production like we do, because I just don't think we have the funds for it. I'm just kind of curious if we can go in-house. Yeah, here's the thing. If we go down to in-house, we'll be like less than other people, but we're going to need to do that. Because we're going to have to save money somehow. Yeah, let's go down to small. We'll keep professional for now. And we'll keep the broadcast quality as a high pro, but we gotta try to save money somehow. Because I definitely don't want to have Western States go out of business. Would suck, because there's a lot of great talent there. But our new company, we're going to St. Louis with Sam Muchnick. As, of course, Sam Muchnick, very much a very, very prominent figure in the NWA. Wrestling at the Chase was some of the best television from that time period, and it's just from a broadcasting perspective, and also from just a talent perspective. A lot of talented fucking guys there. Obviously, Harley Race, who's not even there at this time, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, they got Ernie Ladd, of course. Blackjack, Bob Geigel, who is now kind of getting out of that wrestling role. We also need to take away the scouting role. But Baron Von Raschke, Pat O'Connor, of course, was kind of more of that name of the 60s from that time period. It was more of the face of St. Louis at that time. Now he's definitely up there in age, so they transitioned away from that into Harley Race. Which, we need to definitely bring in Harley Race. Where's he at? We just need to go ahead and sign him over. Because he is the man. Oh, there he is. Yes, sir. There we go. Yeah, it makes sense. From that perspective, the champs right now, of course, you saw who the Triple Crown champ is, but the national champion is also Jack Briscoe, which they do not have any title, or they don't have any. They gotta have pictures of the belts, right? Oh no, I guess not. Would it be the NWA national title? I'm assuming. Yeah, we'll have to find the one. Because obviously we want to pick the right one. So off the top of my head, I can't tell you which one it was. I'm assuming the St. Louis one, yeah. Assuming it would be an NWA title, since they are, of course, a part of the NWA at this time. But, yeah, as far as for the NWA, it's just kind of figuring out. Now, we definitely want to upgrade their production. I do see that. We'll do that. Good. And for St. Louis, definitely want to bring in more talent. Definitely want to, hit the ground running, see where we're at. Luckily, we have a house show first, so I can kind of toy with the roster, see where we're at. Want to get them up to medium. Because St. Louis, is the gateway to the best. This idea of being kind of the middle point in the country. A lot of people from a lot of different places, rather it was talent from the AWA, talent from Mid-South or Western State Sports or Houston or even from the Southwest, were able to kind of hit there in the middle, and we're able to have some great matches, as you can obviously see with Blackjack, and Dory Funk Jr.'s there too, obviously. It's just crazy, but his contract's about to run up, so that's going to be nice. do. We might even have an NWA title matchup since they had him lose to Blackjack like a fucking asshole. So that's great. Oh, we can look at the show history. That's cool. I didn't even know we could do that. See, I've never joined a company midway through. They beat him there. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Interviews with Luke Graham and Baron Von Raschke. So that's kind of thing with St. Louis. That's kind of unfortunate for us, just from the sake of from the safe standpoint. There's going to be a lot of talent that we already book elsewhere. So that's what I was very much torn between St. Louis and Florida. Championship Wrestling from Florida right now, they're rolling. What Eddie Graham's doing, him and obviously Jack Briscoe and Matsuda, Wahoo McDaniel. Now they got the Destroyer, Dick Beyer. They got the Missouri Mauler. They got Billy Red Lyons now. They got Butcher Vachon now. They're signing a lot of these guys on written deals. I'm hoping it fails. I'm hoping that it fails, but it looks like it's not. It looks like they're making money hand over fist, so that's just great. But that was definitely a company that we will do in the future. Just hasn't happened yet. So far, EMLL, Florida. Let's see who else is medium size. Stampede, which we had to get rid of Stampede. That was a tough call. Mainly, it just felt like Stampede. We did enough to help them out. We signed some talent for them to bring in. We, Don Leo Jonathan is the champ. Feel like they're in a good spot right now. Just felt like it was time to let them go and let Stu book it. Man, we'll hit them back on the go around, but they still have TV. It's a good time for it, even though a lot of people have been released and walking out as of late, looks like. And then the WWE, I was about to say WWA, no, the World Wide Wrestling Federation, of course, medium, and that is it. So there's still only a handful of medium companies. The rest are small, tiny, or insufficient. If I had to guess, Power 500, Ray Stevens, number 1, Nick Bockwinkel, number 2. If I had to guess, Jesus. There we go, the battles. Yeah, we didn't even look at the battles. So, right now, Western State Sports has been the worst in the Mid-South area, which I can kind of see. I can kind of see that happening. Because Big Time Wrestling, of course, Fritz, that would make sense. In real life, they were the top, well, technically be probably actually Mid-South itself, but right now, I would say in the 70s and into kind of the early mid-80s, listen to Von Erichs, they were cooking. Midwest, AWA, St. Louis, Central States, I think that makes sense. Southeast, wow. Georgia Championship Wrestling, it's very, very close, though. I mean, 72, 71, and 70, that is very, very close. Southwest, Hollywood Wrestling, Big Time Wrestling from San Francisco, and then the World Athletic Association, the WAA, which, they don't have a prayer, to be honest. Wild stuff. There, and the JWA, of course, better than IWE. Ultraman Women's, though, cooking up, and that's been fun to see. They had actually a pretty good end of the show, or end of the month show. Jumbo Miyamoto is definitely probably the best they have, one of the best for sure, and Chio. Those two you'll definitely be seeing a lot of in this kind of save throughout the 70s. Yeah, as far as they're definitely two of the best women that they have right now. I think that would do it, though. I think that is really all we need to talk about. I guess we could take a look at the NWA title situation, which of course is still Dory Funk Jr. Oh, all right. Well, that's just fun. Tell you what we're gonna do is Dory Funk Jr. will be getting that belt back. Insane. Well, Dory Funk Jr. no longer the champ. He was champ for a year. Whitney Caldwell. He's gonna have a Johnny Rich or a Tommy Wildfire Rich type run. He's gonna be NWA champ for like a week. insane. In-fucking-sane. World Championship Wrestling, yeah. Very much is kind of like the Tyler Rich of the 70s, if you will, with this. So, where do I want this title match to take place now? So this is going to be interesting, because we were going to have Dory Funk Jr. take on Blackjack for the title. I guess Western States is kind of going to be the only place I can run it. Alliance, I'll propose that alliance alone. Hopefully, we'll be able to, let's see, we'll go ahead, do a little behind the scenes here. We gotta go to Georgia Championship Wrestling, we'll go to Whitney Caldwell, loan him out, there we go. And I will see when he'll be able to perform. Hopefully, it will be here. It looks like it is. So, perfect. And Dory Funk Jr. will be getting the NWA World title back. Crazy. Crazy. And we'll give him a little bit of time. It's 17 minutes. And that is why you always check to see what is going on. Because I did not get an email or a note thing about it. If I did, I did not see it. See if it shows it here. Player join. Oh, yep, there it is. It's Wednesday. God damn it. Brutal. But he'll have the belt for a week. A little under a week. It'll be 6 days officially. But that will do it for this episode as we begin the month of March. And we'll catch you guys next time for April. And we'll see how Dory Funk Jr. does. As far as now, he'll be looking to have his second reign as the NWA champion. I can't fucking believe it. Can't believe it. But it's going to be a lot of fun to see. Did he get out before? Oh, God. The Funk Brothers. Let's say, did he get out before? No, he didn't. Crazy. But that is it for this episode. Thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time. Take care, everyone.